All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, another NBA offseason video. In this video, we're going to talk about Klay Thompson, Giannis Antetokounmpo joining the Miami Heat along with a few other players. We're going to talk about the Miami Heat's aspirations for a championship. It's boom or bust for them. Talk about the roster in totality. Talk about Bam Adebayo's new role, and just talk about one of the greatest off seasons or one of the most important off seasons for the Miami Heat since the LeBron signing. So if you like what I say, like the video. If you have any opinions, comment down below. And if you just like the vibes, consider subscribing. So the Giannis stuff, I'm gonna reserve my thoughts on that in full for my preseason predictions. But we will talk about Giannis a little bit. Obviously, we'll talk about one of my favorite players, Klay Thompson, who got waived. It was a mutual buyout between him and the Dallas Mavericks, and Klay Thompson signed predictably with the Miami Heat. Another chance for him to get a ring. I'm very happy for him. Like I said, Klay Thompson, one of my favorite players. I won't say of all time, but sure, of all time. Just a good vibes guy. And let's dive into this roster. So the roster now consists of Giannis Antetokounmpo as the huge offseason acquisition coming from Milwaukee in a trade. Bam Adebayo, Mr. 83 points. Andrew Wiggins, Nikola Jovic, Bobby Portis, Davion Mitchell, Tim Hardaway Jr., Klay Thompson, Drew Smith, Myron Gardner, Simone Fontecchio, Pele Larson, and that's about all the guys that are going to play. There are a couple other guys on this team. What do I think about this team as a whole? It is very top heavy. You have Giannis, Bam, and I guess next up would be Andrew Wiggins, respectfully. He still has some juice left in the tank. He's almost the same age as Giannis, which is crazy. This team is locked up for the next 2 seasons. Most of the players that are here will be here for this year, for this season, and next season. You do have some people around the edges like Tim Hardaway, like Davion Mitchell, who are on 1-year deals. You have Klay Thompson who has a player option on his second year. Giannis also has a player option. So this year, I don't want to say this year is championship or bust. It is when you have Giannis, when you get this collection of talent, it is. But I feel like if they make good progress and at least they make it to the finals or conference finals, I think that would be an achievement. I think that's good progression forward, especially for a team that's been revamped so much, coming together that quickly and organizing that quickly into becoming that kind of team would be a huge step forward. Now, to talk about some of these other pieces, right, that aren't named Giannis, because we know what Giannis can do. We'll start with Klay Thompson. I will say this. I feel like Klay and DeMar DeRozan, who just got signed in the same, 48 hours as Klay Thompson, he went to the Denver Nuggets, though. I feel like they're on the same sort of washed, but not really washed sort of timeline where I'm going to speak very highly of Klay Thompson because he is one of my favorite players. I did not speak very highly of DeMar DeRozan joining the Denver Nuggets. That being said, though, I feel like Klay being in Miami is very different from DeMar DeRozan being in Denver, even though they're both sort of washed at this point. Because Klay is getting to be coached by Eric Spoelstra. I think Eric Spoelstra still is the best coach in the NBA, even though his record hasn't reflected that over the last couple years. I still feel like he's one of the better basketball minds right now. Klay getting to play with some other shooters, getting to play with people that dominate the paint. So the three-point line is open for him. He's going to get a lot of open shots. He's going to get shots in transition. And it's going to be a great environment for Klay to be in again, and to be in a championship environment, no less. And that's what he said in his, intro interview, his press conference where they introduced him. He said he wants to win again, and he'll do whatever it takes. And I believe that. Some other people of note here that Klay, in particular, I'm just using Klay as an example. He's going to get to play with Tim Hardaway Jr., Tim Hardaway Sr. played with Miami as well, but Tim Hardaway Jr. Sort of a revitalization for Tim Hardaway Jr. here. THJ. He had some pretty rough years at some point, but he's rallied back. He's been like a 15, 14 point scorer for the back half of his career now. Was in Dallas for a little bit. Did he? I guess he played. He might have. him and Clay might have crossed paths, maybe just a little bit, maybe. Um, he plays when Tim Hardaway's here, he plays. Since 2022, he's played 71 plus games, and he's started a couple every now and then. He's perennial six man of the year kind of guy. I assume some nights he's gonna start, and Klay Thompson's gonna be on the bench. I assume they're gonna share that shooting guard spot. Even though Klay, I don't feel like is a shooting guard anymore. I feel like he's more of a small forward just because like he can't move like he used to. So there might be some moments where it is Klay and Tim Hardaway out there, but I feel like they're gonna share those duties of being the lone shooter out there or being together. The other player they have here is Davion Mitchell, who's going to be the point of attack defender on the best guards in the NBA. At 28 years old, Davion Mitchell is a much improved player from his time in Sacramento. Yeah, he played in Sacramento, and he's been in this Heat system for a little bit now. And I like Davion Mitchell as a point of attack defender. I feel like not Tim Hardaway. Davion Mitchell is like a smaller, less troublesome. By troublesome, I mean like less like controversial. Losing Dort. I feel like Davion Mitchell's in that sort of area, and having him improve his offense as well while keeping his defense is a huge part of why I think the Miami Heat really wanted to keep him, and he stays on this roster when so many other players who you might think are better talents were shipped out in order to get Giannis and you know uh, free up some cap space as well to get some of these other players here. Um, Another player of note, Bobby Portis, who is a floor stretching big. I haven't said that in forever, but he stretches the floor. Um, Played with Giannis, obviously. And I don't think he's played with anybody else on this team. Not that I remember. No, I don't think he's played with anybody else on this team. So, or before previously, in his previous stops. But yeah, those are all the shooters, really, and all the people at the forward and guard spots that aren't named Giannis. And obviously, then you get to the Andrew Wiggins, um, you get to the Andrew Wiggins part of this where you don't know what version of Andrew Wiggins you get. Andrew Wiggins you are going to get. We'll call him Wiggs. Um, Wiggs is such an interesting player because you go back to that season in 2021, 2022 when he was with the Warriors. And he was perhaps at times the second best player on a championship team. Are you going to ask him to do that again? No. Could you ask him to do it for a series? I still believe so. Is he the third banana in a big three of Bam, Adebayo, and Giannis Antetokounmpo? Perhaps. Wiggins is 31. He's the only player here, or him and Bam are the only two players here who are guaranteed, contractually obligated to be here next year in 2027, 2028. This year, obviously, everybody's here, everybody's invested. But I'm saying this because if you get a version of Andrew Wiggins where he can reascend and re-peak, there are peaks and valleys in careers. If he can reascend, I feel like this team becomes so much more deadly because that whole front line is essentially Andrew Wiggins, Giannis, Bam, or Andrew Wiggins, Bam, Giannis, and then you throw in the pieces of like Davion Mitchell, Tim Hardaway, Andrew Wiggins, Giannis, Bam. That's a very great defensive five right there. And then you have people like Bobby Portis coming off the bench, Klay Thompson coming off the bench. You have Nikola Jovic, who's a random mystery box, but is big and tall and long. You have Myron Gardner, who's a guard. You have Drew Smith, who's a guard. Once you start getting down this list of players that obviously I've been talking about this whole time, you get a little worried, but I feel like this is a team that's going to add pieces throughout the season. And they're going to add these players, whether some players get waived. Maybe there's a world in which they go get like Malik Beasley if his legal stuff clears up. There's a world in which they go get some like real like, okay, I didn't expect that kind of move. Throughout the course of the season, they bolster their roster, and there's some little tweaks here and there. And by the time we get to the end of the season, they have like a full like 8-man rotation, set a 9-man rotation that they roll into the playoffs. I do have some concerns that Giannis hasn't been the healthiest over the past oh my god, like 3 years, he hasn't been the healthiest. Obviously, last year was sort of a fluke because he wanted to play, but the Bucks wanted to tank for a better pick, so he didn't play. Um, this team without Giannis, just say like he takes the night off or something. I don't love. It's Davion Mitchell, it's Tim Hardaway, it's Klay Thompson, it's Andrew Wiggins, it's Bam Adebayo, and then you maybe float in like Bobby Portis, Jovic. It's not a great team. It's not a great team at all without Giannis. Giannis is the straw that stirs the drink, and he's the deciding factor. And you don't need me to tell you that Giannis is an MVP. We can actually go look at Giannis' stats here, and we'll also look at Klay Thompson's stats. Just to read off Giannis' resume, right? This is over the course of what is this? A 13-year NBA career. He's heading towards the back end of it, but this is what he's done so far: 10-time All-Star, 9-time All-NBA, 5-time All-Defensive, 2-time MVP, regular season MVP, 75th anniversary team, 22-1 NBA champ, 2016-2017 Most Improved Player, Defensive Player of the Year in 2019-2020, Finals MVP in 2020-2021, and then I don't know what this is. IST 2025 IST MVP. I don't know what that is. Or 2024 IST MVP. Those are the great things, right? I look at this this basketball reference page, right? And I'm looking at these numbers, and since 2019, 2020, it's been very rare he gets to 70 games. He gets to 61, 67, 63, 73. That's the outlier. 67, and then 39 or 36, pardon me. That's from ages of 25 to 31 right there. I feel like Giannis's injuries, they don't stack up, right? They haven't stacked up to be detrimental. He plays 60 games, so what? I feel like they're inconvenient though. They come at really bad times, and that's no fault of his own, but they come at bad times. You really need to have a great regular season. I feel like this is a team in particular that they need to have home court in the playoffs in order to make a deep playoff run, especially in this first year. When you get all these guys together and try to put together a championship run, that's what you sort of need to do, is get home court and use the fans to your advantage. Everybody's gonna be so hyped to see Giannis in that number 7 jersey, which is still crazy to me. I forgot that he was gonna wear number 7 in Miami. He's going from 34, one of those big ass big man numbers, to 7, which is like a guard number. Gonna be crazy. And yeah, I'm trying to think of some other things here. We could talk about the Klay Thompson piece of this, where Klay's not the same player he was. He missed 2 back-to-back seasons, and from 2019 all the way to 2021, where he had a knee injury that was in the finals, and then he re-injured his. He didn't re-injure. He got injured again when he was rehabbing from the knee injury. He got an Achilles injury, and basically his prime was over after that. His prime was over at 29, essentially. It was over. It was done. Since then, like I said, the times in Golden State were really good. They were really high highs. He averaged 20 plus points. That's crazy. After an Achilles and knee injury in 2021, 2022. And then the drop off starts. At 32 years old, it's expected after 2 major injuries like that. He jumps up to 21 a game in the 2023 season, and then it sharply drops down to 17 points per game, 14 points per game first season in Dallas, and then last season, 11 points per game in his last season in Dallas, like I said. He started 8 games. That's the least amount of games he's ever started in his career. Yeah, least amount of games he ever started in his career, and played 69 games. He's played 13 seasons, and he has career averages, I guess you could probably say, of what is a career average? Conservatively, a 14 point per game. Well, I guess you add it all up, it's 18, but I'm compressing his prime and sort of going off more recent basketball, where he's probably a 14 point per game scorer. The shooting, though, the shooting's never left him. Since he entered the league, he's been a 41% three-point shooter. And then after his Achilles injury and knee injury, it didn't make a difference. He's still 38, 41, 38, 39, 38, 7 attempts to 10 attempts a game. Really high quality stuff from Klay, considering the injuries he had. And I'm going to assume they might not start Klay. It might be Tim Hardaway because Tim Hardaway's been better more recently. But given the case, like I said, he probably could start some games. He probably could start. Um, it's the Miami Heat culture, like they always say, and I'm so happy for Klay to be back in this situation. He wanted to play with Luka when Luka was in Dallas, and then obviously that whole Luka stuff went down, and it all fell apart. Um, Klay's on the back end of his career. He's 35 years old. Damn, he's 35. Um, this is it. This is gonna be it for Klay. By it, I mean this is gonna probably be his last team, his last chance to really compete for a championship. Obviously, I think the Heat are very happy to have him, have a very experienced guy, in a very similar system to what the Warriors were at their peak. He knows what it takes to win. They have a bunch of winners on this team. Um, Giannis, Andrew Wiggins, Bobby Portis, Klay Thompson. You can even have Bam Adebayo as a winner, not so much at the NBA level, but at the Olympic level. Bam Adebayo is an Olympic gold medalist. 83 points in a single game. Um, I think the funny thing is, Bam has been here. Bam is the longest tenured um, Miami Heat player right now. He was last year too, I believe. Um, and he's been through it all. I remember when Bam Adebayo was playing behind Hassan Whiteside. Yeah, I remember those days. That feels like so recently, but also so far away. Um, Bam has played with so many different iterations of this team, whether it was with Dwayne Wade on the retirement tour, whether it was with Jimmy Butler, whether it was with very, very large array of names and different types of players. Um, it's going to be interesting to see how Eric Spoelstra makes this team work. Obviously, Eric Spoelstra is probably going to dust off some old Ray Allen plays for Klay Thompson. The LeBron plays have been dusted off for Giannis probably, and we'll see what everybody else can do. If anybody can make this team work with such limited actual players that know how to play basketball or play basketball at a high level, it's Eric Spoelstra. I trust him enough to do it. His record last year with this team as the head coach, they made the play and they were 43-39. I'll say this, and this is the only thing I'll say, is that's a prediction sort of. The Miami Heat, you need to get to 50 wins. And if you get to 50 wins and you're still not a home court advantage team, then you tried your best. But I feel like this is a team that needs to get to 50 wins, and they need to 50 plus wins, and then they need to get to have home court. And if you don't get home court because everybody else has 50 plus wins, and it's just one of those seasons where like 50 plus wins or 55 plus wins doesn't get you home court, then that is what it is. And the last question, where would I put them in the hierarchy of the East? Because that's the conference they play in. I think I've made my decision in my mind where like it's for me personally, respect to the Knicks, I'm gonna give them like the team to beat, obviously, but the top teams, it's like New York, Philly, Miami, and then maybe like Cleveland or Toronto, depending. It's those teams. I don't feel like the Pistons, even though they had a really great season last season, they were the best team in the conference. I don't feel like they're going to repeat that. The Boston Celtics are going to regress so much, even though I want to see this version of Jason Tatum. I don't feel like he can do it, given the climate of the Eastern Conference around him. So yeah, New York, Philly, Miami, yeah, that's gonna be it. And then Cleveland and Toronto could sneak in there. I just have to see that those teams play together. That's what I have to see. But yeah, that should be it. I don't want to dive too deep into this. I just wanted to talk about one of my favorite players in Klay Thompson, give a little rundown of the roster because, like I said at the top, this is one of the most important off seasons for the Miami Heat in a very long time. So deserved its own little video before I shove it in with the rest of their division in probably next week. We'll see. We'll see what order I'm going to do it in. But yeah, that's it. That's the video, a little short one for you guys. End screen should be playing right now. Check out the video on the left. Check out the playlist on the right. If you click my little icon right in the middle of the screen, a little subscribe will pop up, and you can subscribe with ease. Like and comment as well, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.